Hello everyone, hope you're having a great day and I welcome you all to the day 14 of AWS series. Today's session is a special session on deploying a complete end-to-end website on AWS. In this session, we will use almost all the AWS services from VPC to Route 53 for deploying a complete working website. So without any further ado, let's start the session. Before we begin, subscribe to Intellipaat and don't forget to press the bell icon to get more updates.
Let me first tell you what we are basically going to deploy today. So guys, we are basically going to set up something like this today. So we as a user, we will try to go to a URL like this, www.awsproject.tk, and this domain should basically route us to our website. Okay, now what will our website be able to do? Let me quickly show you. Right, so I have a website on my local host, right? So let me see if I can show you that website. So 1 second, let me go ahead and launch this website once. Okay, now in order to launch this website, what I'll have to do is I will have to install some packages. So let me go ahead and install them. So I will have to install PyMySQL. Let me see if this makes it running. And okay, so what we have to do is we have to deploy this website, and the way we are going to architect our website is going to be something like this. Okay, so first of all, we will configure this domain to connect to our virtual server that we are going to launch, right? And the way to do that would be using the Route 53 service on AWS. Okay, now our website will be able to upload objects onto Amazon RDS, onto a storage service called S3, right? So our website, whatever images that we are going to upload using our website, it will be uploaded to an object store called S3, from where you will also be able to see that the objects are getting uploaded. And at the same time, the entry for this will also be stored inside a MySQL database, which is going to be inside Amazon RDS. Okay, so guys, this is what we are going to deploy today, and we are going to go ahead step by step. So first, let's go ahead and start by setting up our website. So first, let's deploy a database, a MySQL database on AWS. Now, the way to do that is by making use of a service called Amazon RDS, right? So let me first go ahead and switch to my AWS Management Console. Okay, so guys, this is what my AWS Management Console looks like. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click on EC2. So we are going to deploy our database first. So let me go ahead and select RDS. Okay, so you just have to type in RDS over here, and it will basically make you go to the RDS service. Now, once you are over here, this is how the RDS dashboard looks like. Once you are over here, you will have to click on something called as Create Database. Just click over here. And now what you will have to do is you will have to click on, so this is standard create. This is going to be automatically selected for you. In the engine options, you will have to select MySQL. So let's select that. And now with MySQL selected, just scroll down and you can select the MySQL version. Okay, now you can select any version that you want. I'm going to leave it at default, which is 8.0, and scroll down to select the template in which we want to deploy. Right now, since we are practicing on our AWS account, what I recommend is for you to basically deploy everything in the free tier. So just select free tier over here, right? And then scroll down. And once you have reached here, what you'll have to do is you will have to go ahead and specify your database. How will you basically identify this database server? Okay, so let's say we give this name to be employee database, because our website is basically going to be an employee website about how we can basically upload data of an employee onto our website. This will be about that. So let's name our database also employee, right? And now let's go ahead and specify the username and the password. Okay, so let me specify the username as Intellipaat. And let me specify a password as well. So let me go ahead and specify the password. Okay. So I've given a password, and now what I can do is I don't have to choose this, because this is basically which kind of machine do you want to launch. So the machine that we want to launch is going to be t2.micro itself. So we are not going to touch this, right? Because this falls under the free tier, and this is automatically selected for me when I choose the template as free tier above. Okay. Now the next thing that I might have to see is auto scaling. So auto scaling basically means if you get a lot of load on your website, should your server become 2 or 3 instead of just 1. So we do not require that as of now, and I think it is a little advanced for you as well for this class. So we are not going to select this option. Okay. Then which network do you want to deploy it in? So we are basically going to deploy it in the default network for now. So we are not going to touch this, and it is going to be a password authentication, which is fine for us. Is it publicly accessible? So yes, it will be publicly accessible, which means it will be available on the internet for us to work with. Okay. So we have selected yes over here, and next we will have to change nothing else. We can just now click on create database, and my MySQL is now basically getting automatically created. Now if you would have noticed, if you were to do this on your own, and by that what I mean is, if you were to not use any cloud provider, and if you were to deploy a database server, you would have to do a lot of things. So first of all, you would have to launch a server, then you would have to install MySQL manually on it, right? And then configure it to basically allow internet connections from outside. But that is not something that you have done for now, right? What you have done is you have just gone through a dashboard where you have selected the right options, and then you have just clicked on create database. Now whatever is going to happen now is automatically going to be managed by AWS, and that is why this service, the service which you are using, which is Amazon RDS, is a managed database service, which basically means everything from deployment, everything from installation of the database, everything is taken care of by AWS, and we don't have to do anything in it. Okay, so now this is getting set up. So let's wait for some time, and let's hope this gets set up soon. If we come back to our slides, what we need to next figure out is our S3 bucket, where our data is going to be uploaded. And now what we are going to do is we are basically going to create a bucket for us where all our data will be uploaded. So coming back to my AWS management console, what I can do is I can just search for the S3 service over here, click on it, and now I'll be taken to a S3 management console. Okay. Now on the S3 management console, what I'll be doing is I'll be creating a bucket. So let's create a bucket, and let's call it employee. Let's call it add employee. Okay. And this will be in the Ohio region, US East 2, which is great, right? Nothing else we are changing. We are just clicking on create bucket. Now it's very important to take note of where your bucket is being deployed. So our bucket has been deployed in the Ohio region. And if you talk about our RDS, that will also be deployed in the Ohio region itself. So we can check that quickly. If you go to RDS again, how can you check which region you have basically deployed your resource in? You can check it in the URL. It says US East 2. Or what you can also do is you can just check the region over here at this section of your AWS console. It says Ohio over here as well. All right, great. So now we have created a bucket. We have created a database, right? And now what is left is to deploy our server, which is going to hold our website basically. Okay, so let's create a server as well. So let me type in EC2 over here, click over it, and let's click on running instances. So here what I'll be doing is I will be creating a server, and the way I'll be creating it is I'll be creating launch instance, And what I want to do is I want to basically deploy an Ubuntu server. So I'll be selecting Ubuntu over here, right? Now in Ubuntu, what is the processor that I want to choose for my server? It will always be free tier eligible. So I'm going to choose that, click on next. Then how many instances do we want to launch? We just want to launch one instance because I want to show you how you can set up a website. Okay, so we're not going to change anything over here. And rest everything also, you will not change anything. Just click on next. This is how much hard drive will be given to your system. So we will leave it at default. It will be 8 GB. We'll click on next. Now let's click on configure security groups. Now here you will have to select the default security group. It should already be there when you first create an account. Just select this and click on review and launch. Okay, now you can review all the settings that you want to basically check. And if everything looks good, just click on launch. And over here, you can either create a new key pair or you can choose an already existing one. So how to create a key pair, how to convert it, how to set the right permissions, everything has been taught to you in the previous session, which was at 5:30. So that was deploying virtual servers on AWS, right? You can just refer that as well to see how you can do it. Over here, I'm going to use a key pair which I've already defined, which is basically going to be Mac Ohio. Okay, so I'm going to select this key pair, acknowledge that I have it, and click on launch instances. So now my EC2 is getting launched. So it will take some time. Meanwhile, let me see if you have any questions. So Prashant is saying you have shown the example of deploying a website. Is it possible to deploy components and compile my process in cloud itself? So Prashant, I think what you mean by this is deploying microservices in cloud. So yes, Prashant, that is possible to deploy too, right? The way to do that, there are multiple ways you can do that. I mean, if you're deploying a microservice, I don't think you should deploy it on one server. There are a lot of other services in AWS as well, which you can make use of. For example, you have something called as Elastic Container Service. So if you are a little more advanced in AWS and understand the services, you can actually deploy it over there as too. Okay. So now what I'm doing is I have just launched, my instance, and let's check the status for this instance. So first of all, let me name this instance something. So let me put it as Hemant-project. Okay. So my instance is now in the running state, which basically means it is all good. I can just refresh. And now we can try connecting to our machine. Okay, so let's select the machine. Let's select the IP address of this machine. And now let's try to connect to it. Now, how you can connect to it? You can basically connect to it using a terminal. So what I'm going to make use of is my terminal over here. Okay, and let me go to the place where I have saved the key for this server. Right. So the command is ssh-i./mike-ohio.pem. The username for my server is Ubuntu, and this is the IP address. So now I'm connecting to my EC2 server. It's going to ask me whether I trust this server. So yes, I do. And now it will allow me to connect to the server. Great. So I've connected to this server. Next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and connect to my RDS first to see if everything is working fine or not from the network point of view. Okay, so how can we connect to our RDS? First, we need to deploy a MySQL client on this machine, which will help us to connect to our RDS machine. So how can I install the MySQL client? So let me go ahead and update this machine first. So the command would be sudo apt get update. This will update the machine. Okay, so machine got updated. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to install MySQL client. So sudo apt get install MySQL -client. Okay, so now MySQL client has been installed on my machine, on my AWS machine. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try connecting to my RDS. Now for connecting, since I've installed MySQL client, the command would be mysql -h, h being the host name of my database that I want to connect to. And for connecting to it, I will just go to my browser and go to the RDS service again. So what I need is the RDS URL. So let's go there. Okay. And now we can just select the database instance that we basically want to connect to. So I can just click on the database that I deployed earlier. And this is the URL that I'm looking for to connect to my instance. Okay, so I'll just select this. And let me see if any other information is required from my side. Okay, everything else looks good. So now what I'll do is I'll just enter the URL over here. So mysql -h, the URL, then the username, which is Intellipaat, and then the password. So let me enter the password as well. And as you can see, I have successfully connected to my RDS and I'm on the MySQL shell now. Okay. So now that I'm inside the MySQL shell, guys, what I'm going to do is that I will go ahead and see if the database is actually initialized on this server. So I'll just type in show databases, and there's no database as of now deployed in this server. So what I'll do is I'll type in the command create database employee. So database is now created, and now I will have to create a table inside employee where basically my information is going to be stored. Okay. Now, what all information do I need to store in this table? That will be clear from our website, right? So what we can do is we can just check the code of our website and understand what all is required to enter in our website. So, okay, in our database. So we need a column called employee ID, first name, last name, primary skills, location, and employee image file. Okay, so these are the things that we need to enter. I think this is not required because this is the SQL query, and here I just have 5 things that I'm inserting in SQL. So what I'll do is I'll just select these 5 options, and this is what I'm going to insert in my database. So I can just go ahead, I can create a table employee, and now I can just specify the column. So first column is EMP ID. Let's give the data type to be as varchar and the value to be as 20. After EMP ID, the next is first name. So let's give F name over here, and the value would be varchar 20. Then we can give last name. So last name again would be varchar 20. I'm just giving the default value as 20 characters. You can modify it if you want. Primary skill. So we'll give the primary skill to be varchar again, and the range would be 20 characters too. And then the location. So this would be the last column for our table, and here also we'll give 20 characters. Okay, it says no database selected, so I'll just select use employee. This will change our database, and now I can just copy the same syntax. Okay, it says I have an error, so let me just check what the error is. Okay, so I guess there are arrows which are causing the problem, so let me just copy it one by one. Employee, then EMP ID with the comma, then fname, then last name, then primary skills, which is this, and then the location. Okay, so my database is now created successfully. So if I type in show tables, it's showing you that the employee table has been created. Great. So now that my employee table has been created, I can actually go ahead and start configuring my website to work. Okay, let's go ahead. So now what I'll be doing is, and let me exit from the EC2 server also. Okay, so I'm back to my local, and in my local, let me go to the code where basically I have my website. Now first, let's try to run the website on our local system, and then we will try to deploy it on the AWS Management Console. Okay, so let me open it in Sublime Text, our code. Here it is. And here I will have to first configure my website. So here I will be putting the host name of RDS. So let me get that. Host name is nothing but the endpoint. So let me copy it. So this is the host name. Next thing that I'll be doing is I will be copying the username. So username is nothing but Intellipaat. Then I'll be specifying the database. So the database would be employee, and the bucket name is emp-add, if I'm not wrong. So let me just go ahead and verify that. The bucket name has to be the same as what you have created in S3 service. So it's called add employee. So let me specify the same in my code as well. The bucket is called add employee, right? And then we will be specifying the region. So region is US East -2. Okay. So guys, this is the configuration that we have to do. Now I also have to specify the password over here. So password would be Intellipaat123, and don't worry, I will be deleting this database later. So you guys can be rest assured that this is not going to be causing us a problem. Okay, so now what I can do is I can go back to my code and let's see if we can deploy this website on a local.
Just a quick info, guys. If you want to make a career in cloud and DevOps, then Intellipaat provides an advanced certification in cloud computing and DevOps by ENICT Academy IIT Roorkee, and it is taught by IIT Roorkee professors and industry experts. This course is designed to help you upskill and land in your dream job.
Let's hear what our customer says about the course.
The way I got a technical job was because of Intellipaat only. They only arranged me interview with a reputed company in Hyderabad, and I cracked the interview in the first round itself.
Now, let's continue with the session.
Okay, so website is on our local now, right? So let's see how the website looks like. So if I go to localhost, okay, so this is how my website is going to look like, guys. Okay, and when I enter the information over here, it has to go and now be stored in my MySQL database. Whatever information I'll be specifying over here, that information will be going ahead and be stored in my database. Okay, now what I can also do over here is now I will be making it available not on localhost, but actually on my EC2, that is my web server. So let's see how we can do that. So first things first, I will actually have to go ahead and close this application, right? And now let's save everything. So I will be pushing it to GitHub. So let me stage everything on my local, commit it, right? And now let's just go ahead and push it. So what I'll have to do is I'll have to create a remote repository. So let me go to github.com. Now on github.com, let me create a new repository, and let's call this repository as AWS-live. Okay, it'll be a public repository. Let's click on create. Okay, so repository has got created. Let me add this in the origin. Added. And now let me push it to my website, to my Git. All right, so my website has now been pushed onto GitHub, so I can verify that by refreshing over here. And I can see that I have everything uploaded on this. Okay, so let me check config.py as well. Yes, this also has all the values. Great. Now what I'll be doing is I will be going ahead and pulling this code on my EC2 server. So let's see how we can do that. So let me SSH into my EC2 again. Okay, so I'm inside my EC2 now, and let me clone the code that I have pushed onto my GitHub. Okay, so now I have basically gone in. I have copied the code onto my EC2 machine, and now I can go ahead and deploy the code over here. Okay, so I'll just go into AWS-live, and now I will first install Python 3. So what I'll have to do is, if you can, okay, now that we have the code with us on our server, yeah, I was showing you the Readme. So according to Readme, we will have to install all these things. So we have already installed MySQL client. You can find all the commands over here, which have to be executed on your server. Right now, we'll have to install Python 3. We'll have to install Flask. We'll have to install PyMySQL, and we'll have to install Boto 3. So what are these commands? So basically, Python 3 is the language that we have coded our website in. So this is the language that it has been coded in. So we'll have to ensure that it is existing on the system where we are basically running the website. Flask is a web framework which basically helps Python to go ahead and publish a website onto that server. And PyMySQL is basically a library which helps the website to connect to a MySQL server. Then you have something called as Boto 3. So Boto 3 are the AWS SDKs that are development kits, which basically help you to connect to your S3 service where you will be uploading your files. Okay, so these are the things that need to be installed. So let's go ahead and install it. And for that, what you'll have to do is just go to your server, and first let's install Python 3. So sudo apt get install Python 3. So Python 3 has already been installed. Next thing is that you need to install pip3. So sudo apt get install pip3. Pip3. Okay, so it has to be Python 3-pip. Okay, so now it is being installed on this server as well. So it will take some time. So now let's wait for this installation to get finished. So what we're installing right now is pip. So pip is nothing but a package manager for Python, which helps you install any libraries that your code might need. So it's got installed. And now what we can do is install the packages that are required. So pip3 installed by MySQL, and we need Boto 3. that will automatically be downloaded now for the code. And we also need to install Flask. So pip3 install Flask. Okay, so that also has been installed. Now, what if we try to connect to the website? The website will get launched successfully, but we will get an error. Let me show you how to solve that error. Okay, so now my website got deployed. So now what we were seeing on the local host, if you go to the EC2 that we deployed.
Just a quick info, guys. Test your knowledge of AWS by answering this question. Amazon S3 has how many pricing components? A. Only 4. B. Only 5. C. Only 3. D. Only 2. Comment your answer in the comment section below. Subscribe to Intellipaat to know the right answer. Now, let's continue with the session.
Which is this. And if I try to go to this IP address, you can see on this IP address, I am now able to see this website. But let me show you a problem that you might get. So let me enter my information. Primary skills, let's say it's AWS. Location, let's say it's India. Now we choose a file which we want to upload to S3. Let's choose an image which we can basically upload. Let's click on update database. So as you can see, you got an error which says unable to locate credentials. Okay, and if you go to your S3 management console and inside your bucket, that is add employee, you will not see any object or any file uploaded over here. Now, how you can solve this particular problem? Now, in order to solve this problem, what you'll have to do is you will have to basically give your EC2 instance or your server access to basically upload data to S3. Now, how you can give access to your AWS instance? First of all, your question should be, why does your server need access to upload data to S3? So on this server, we are running some code, and that code is trying to interact with the AWS S3 service. Okay. Now, in terms of when you're connecting with RDS, you have passed in a username password. So it's all good. It has got the authorization, and now it's able to basically enter information inside the database. But let's now assume that instead of let's now assume that what is the authentication that we are giving for connecting to our S3 service? So there's no authentication, right? So for giving the authentication to your S3 service, what you have to give is an IAM role to your instance. And how can you do that? So there is a service in AWS which is called IAM. Just select this service. And in the service now, I'm going to go to users. Not users, sorry. I'm going to go to roles. And I'm now going to create an admin role for my AWS account. Okay. So when I click on create role, it will ask me which service is this role for, right? So this is a role for my EC2 service. So I'll select that. Okay. So once you have selected EC2, next it will ask for permissions. So what kind of permissions do you want your EC2 to get? So when you say permissions, now you're giving access to different services in AWS. Okay. Now for this demo's sake, what I do is I just select administrator access. That is, this EC2 can actually interact with any service in AWS. Okay. We'll give it admin access. We'll click on next and we'll click on review, and let's give this role a name. Let's call it as AWS Live. Okay. And now let's click on create role. So now the role got created. And now if I go to my EC2 dashboard, now I will have to select my server. This is my server Heyman project. I will click on actions, and now I'll go to instance settings. Okay, and in instance settings, I will go to attach or replace IAM role. I'll click there. It's right now is not having any role. Now I'll give it a role which is basically AWS Live, which is over here. I'll select it, click on apply, and the EC2 now have the correct role to basically upload data to S3. Now let's see how we can do that. So right now I'm getting this error that is unable to locate credentials. So what I'll do is I'll just try to connect to the website again, enter the same information. So now let's change the employee ID. Let's enter John Doe, primary skills AWS, location, let's say it's India, image, let's choose an image that we want to upload. This is the image that I want to select. Let's click on update database now. So now my image is getting uploaded, and as you can see, it says following image has been added to the database, right? Now, if I go to S3 and if I hit on refresh over here, you can see a file has been added over here, and this is the exact file that I chose, which needed to be uploaded to S3. At the same time, if I try to connect to my MySQL, so let me connect to MySQL from my local host. So let me just check one simple thing, guys. Give me 1 second. Now let's try to connect to our RDS. So my RDS has this URL. Let me pass this URL. This is the username. Let me pass in the password. Okay. Let me use the employee database. And let me select star from employee now. So as you can see, earlier I entered Hemant Sharma, AWS India, but at that time my image did not get uploaded because the credentials were not there. This information got inserted, and similarly my John Doe data has also been inserted successfully. Now let me do one thing, guys. I'll just give this IP address to you, and all of you can try entering your information here. Okay, while you do that, now let's move on to the next step. So this part of my architecture is done. My EC2 is now connected to RDS. My EC2 is now connected to S3. We have our website deployed over here. Now let's see how we can basically route a domain like this to my EC2 server. So right now we are trying to connect using an IP address, right? But I do not want to connect using an IP address. What I want is I should have a domain. I should have a proper domain which can be used to connect to my website. Now, how can I do that? So for doing this, what I'll be doing is I will be going to a service called Route 53 in AWS. So let me just type it out. This is the Route 53 service. Okay, so and here we will have to create a hosted zone. Okay, let's create a hosted zone. Click on hosted zone, type in the domain name. Now this domain name, guys, has to be purchased by you guys. Okay, so if you want, you can actually purchase a domain over here, right? It says a .com account is $12. You can just check all the things over here, and any domain that you want, just enter the name here. It will check if it is available or not, and you can purchase it straight from the AWS management console. Or for demo purposes, what you can also do is you can create a free domain. So I have created a free domain from a website called Freenom. So let me show you how that website looks like. So just go to freenom.com, sign up yourself over there. And then what you can do is you can create your own domain name, right? All you have to do is once you're signed up, signed in, click on services, click on register a new domain. Okay. So when you click on register on a new domain, it will basically just ask you the domain name that you want to, basically avail for free. So let's say I want to avail hello world Intellipaat. Let's say this is the domain. that I want to select. So I'll just click on check availability. And if this domain is available, it will tell me that it is free and it is available right now. I'll just click on get it now. It'll say it's selected. I'll check out. Again, it will be valid only for 3 months, guys. Remember this. If you're buying it for free, it will be valid only for 3 months. Click on continue and click on complete order once you have agreed to the terms and conditions. So now, once you get to this order confirmation page, it basically tells you that you have bought this domain successfully. Now go to services, click on my domains, and you will be able to see your domain over here. This is how you basically subscribe to a domain on Freenom. Now what you'll have to do is you will have to select AWS. Okay, so now I already had a domain which I had followed the same process for. Right? It is exactly the same in the same state. I have not configured this domain to do anything. I'll be showing you the configuration now. Okay, so I'll be going ahead with this particular domain, aws-project.tk. Let me click on manage domain. And from here in manage domains, I will have to go to management tools and I will have to go to name servers. Once I am on name servers, I'll have to select use custom name servers, and then we'll have to fill out this information. I'll show you how to fill out this information in a minute. And yes, there has been an entry for the name Bhumika, and there's also an entry for Arjun. So I can see 2 guys have updated their information. Great, guys. So you can see your information on the screen now. All right, moving forward. Now let's go ahead to and let me show you now how to enter this information. Okay, so now what I'll be doing is I will be going ahead on my Route 53 management console, and I will be creating a hosted zone. So I click on create hosted zone, and you have to specify the domain name over here. Now this domain name will exactly be the same as what you have specified in your Freenom. So I have my domain name as aws-project.tk. Okay, we'll be selecting this, click on create, and then you will reach this screen on Route 53. Now these are your name servers, guys, that you see over here, and these have to be filled out over here in Freenom. Okay, so let's fill these out. So what I'll be doing is let's select these and select these name servers one by one. So let's select the first name server, copy it, paste it here. Let's go ahead and select the second name server now. Copy it and paste it here. Select the third name server, copy it, paste it here. Similarly, the fourth name server, which is this. So there are in all 4 name servers that AWS gives you, and you have to copy all the 4 in your Freenom dashboard. Okay, once done, click on change name servers, and your changes have been saved successfully. Now your Freenom domain can connect to your Route 53 service correctly. Great. Now you have to connect your Route 53 service to your EC2 server that you have deployed. Let's see how you can do that. So now you will have to click on create record set. All right, specify an IP address over here, and that IP address will go basically here in the value. So let's select our EC2 IP address, which is this. Let's select it and let's paste it in our Route 53. So here is the IP address. We will not enter anything in this field, right? And let's click on create. So your record has been created. Similarly, create one more record set, enter www and enter the IP address, same IP address over here, and click on create again. So you're entering 2 informations over here. One is with www and one is without www. Okay, and you have basically forwarded this to your EC2 instance IP address. Now if you go ahead and type in aws-project.tk on your browser, it should take you to your website. So all of you now, you can go ahead and type in this URL, and you will be be able to access the website that we have just launched. So just go ahead and type in aws-project.tk on your machine. So let me also put it on chat. Just type in on your browser and you should see this page that is visible over here. Just confirm me in the chat, guys, once, all those who are there in the webinar. On YouTube also, guys, just type in aws-project.tk and then you should be able to see the website. Okay. So with this, guys, we have successfully configured a website. Let me also try it in incognito once so that we know this is not something which is being picked up from my cache. So aws-project.tk and then we'll type in www. Okay, so on YouTube I also see that Jerry King is saying it's working. Great, Jerry King, thank you for the confirmation. And yes, it is working in incognito as well. Okay, because since it's DNS, sometimes the settings, it takes time to be implemented across all the DNS servers which are there, the 4 DNS servers that we defined. Every time each user does not connect to the same name server. Everyone is connected to different name servers based on the load which is there on the server. After some time, even aws-project.tk will work. Okay, so with this, guys, we have come to an end.
Just a quick info, guys. If you want to make a career in cloud and DevOps, then Intellipaat provides an advanced certification in cloud computing and DevOps by ENICT Academy IIT Roorkee, and it is taught by IIT Roorkee professors and industry experts. This course is designed to help you upskill and land in your dream job.
Now that we are done with the session, don't forget to subscribe to Intellipaat and press the bell icon to get the latest updates on Intellipaat.